We have to vote. We have to participate. We just can't take politics for granted.
Political campaigning in the United States focuses on the individual running for office. Whether it's for local, state, or national positions, in today's world of information technology, attention is geared towards the platforms, statements, and appearances of the candidates. The difference between the nominees, whether they are in the same political party or not, are highlighted in the media, which in turn influences the public's vote. There is one common factor on most political campaigns that's a vital component in the success of the candidate. That key factor is the participation of volunteers at the grassroots level.
We need to get people out to vote, and the best way to do that is through a grassroots effort.
You have been targeted with new rules to try to make your vote not count in 2012.
We'll be doing voter registration over as a specific plan. We will register more voters this time than ever before, even more than in 2008.
5 counties in Florida have a pre-clearance requirement, which means that if they want to make any change to their elections, they must have federal approval to do so.
It's about making these relationships that can go beyond a campaign.
Because it's family.
Amen. It is family. It is family. We are family, right?
Yes.
All right.
I like his platform because he tried to reach the poor people. He tried to help the poor.
I plan on supporting whoever the Republican nominee is. I think we got some great candidates. We have a very diverse field that has, a lot of experience. Whoever the Republican nominee is going to be, it's going to present a good challenge to President Obama.
President Barack Obama holding the office as our current president, the election of 2012 has been highly competitive amongst the Republican Party in hopes of gaining the title for the Republican nomination. Although the race started out with a variety of candidates vying for the presidency, only the top 2 contenders remain: President Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. Since Florida is a major swing state and the approval ratings are constantly floating up and down, there is no telling who will win the race. There are concerned citizens that are unsure of what kind of changes they will be met with at the voting booth next year. Since 2008, the rules for voting in Florida have undergone changes. 80 new provisions were implemented throughout the state that affects voting in 2012. 5 counties in Florida are challenging 4 of these provisions in court. Those 4 provisions impact third-party voting registration, petition signature verification, out-of-county address changes, and early voting. Communications Director of the Florida Department of State, Chris Cate, tries to ease worries surrounding changes in voting by bringing some clarity to modifications Florida voters will notice.
When somebody goes to register others to vote, meaning someone other than a family member, if they're going to collect voter applications on someone else's behalf, they need to be registered with the state. That's not actually a change. The change is that you previously had 10 days to turn in that information once you took somebody's application. Now you have 48 hours to get that application in, but it can be mailed within that 48 hours. So as long as you have that application in the mail within 48 hours, you should be all right.
Certain citizens in Florida are outraged by the new provisions on voting changes in Florida. Marvin Martin is a part of a lawsuit to refute the new changes in Florida voting laws. He feels the new laws are unjust and places an unfair limits on a specific group of voters.
As a citizen of Hillsborough County, Tampa, Hillsborough County, state of Florida, I'm a part of the lawsuit against the Republicans, the state of Florida, attempt to block minority voting. It's about 5 or 6 of us with others. We are part of the suit against the state of Florida to keep those provisions that we already have in operation, because they're trying to make it difficult to register. Like I say, if you want to register voters, you get the petition, you got to turn it in almost like right away before you can turn it in next week. And if you don't turn it in within a short period of time, all those people you sign up will not count. I do believe the Republicans are trying to make it tough for certain individuals to vote, and these are legal techniques they're trying to use to disenfranchise a a portion of minority voting. It's going to be legal, but we see it different.
Many Americans who feel passionate about a candidate express their support by becoming actively involved in a local campaign group. These individuals are labeled as grassroots supporters. So the big question is, what exactly does being a grassroots supporter mean?
I call them foot soldiers. I love foot soldiers. A foot soldier is somebody who don't mind doing anything to help their candidate to win. A foot soldier don't mind standing on the corners, waving signs. When it's hot, when it's raining, when it's cold.
Grassroots supporters are common people that do not necessarily hold a political office, but they are concerned about the impact elected officials have on them and their community. In 2008, President Obama utilized a grassroots campaign. His tactics included encouraging supporters to hold neighborhood house meetings to inform communities on his platform. He also offered paid positions for supporters to organize local phone banks and door-to-door visits to encourage people at home to get out and vote in 2008. Students played a big role in campaigning for President Obama in the last presidential election. Between 22 and 24 million young Americans voted during the 2008 campaigns, resulting in an estimated youth voter turnout between 49 and 54%. At Florida A&M University, students actively worked on the 2008 campaign. The students canvassed, phone banked, volunteered, and registered voters on campus and around the country. President Barack Obama's visit, as well as First Lady Michelle Obama's visit to campus, motivated students on Election Day. Ramon Soto was active in Obama's 2008 campaign at FAMU. He reflects on what being a grassroots supporter means to him.
What grassroots does is that first we understand that we're the grassroots. We're not these big trees who have big money or have these big family histories of money and status, but we're the grassroots. We're the common person who has the common hopes and common needs that can only be realized collectively. So when we talk about grassroots, we're talking about an organized effort that allows people to be their own solutions to their own problems by learning how to solve those problems.
Young College Republicans is a part of the Republican Party for college and university students. The National Committee provides leadership and support to chapters nationwide, including Florida State University's chapter. Although the group cannot officially endorse a candidate, representatives from the different Republican hopefuls are present at the meetings for those who are interested in becoming involved with the campaign team. Alex Halsback is the president of the Ron Paul campaign at FSU. Halsback and other members of FSU for Ron Paul are encouraging other students to become a part of their team. He explains why he feels Paul is the best man for the executive office.
I've always been a Republican, but Ron Paul seems to be the first Republican that I'm actually very energetic about. I like all the Republican candidates that we have, but Ron Paul really jumps out to me, and I wanted to do whatever I could to get him the Republican nomination and then ultimately the presidency.
Halsback's team has been busy campaigning for Ron Paul around FSU and the city of Tallahassee. He describes the approach they've taken to help Ron Paul gain voters.
Twice we've done sign bombs, which is essentially we take signs like this, and larger signs, road signs, homemade signs, and just hold them up on the side of the road for 4 hours at a time, 3-4 hours at a time. We've done 2 of those. We plan on doing more in the future. We plan on doing phone banking, just like I told you about, except as a group rather than just individually, keeping ourselves motivated, having fun, buying pizza, and just kind of enjoying ourselves while we do it.
A foot soldier don't mind passing out flyers at special events. A foot soldier don't mind going to the forums when they're having debates. A foot soldier will do whatever it takes to get their candidate elected because they believe in that candidate and they will go that extra mile.
Grassroots is the very essence of politics. It is an attitude of freedom, creativity, unrestrained political enthusiasm, and a willingness to band together with ordinary citizens for a common purpose. Many volunteers make it their mission to get voters registered and out to the polls. 84-year-old Queen Miller has put in years of hard work trying to encourage her community to make an impact on Election Day.
back in the 50s. Back when they say they'd dynamite your house and everything if you vote. Well, I knocked on doors all over the city of Tampa, so I've been actively involved in elections ever since. And once I get them started, they go on their own then.
Getting involved at a local level opens up the door for activists to become future office holders or party leaders. Bishop Hollyfield, the president of the Florida Black Caucus, explains why he feels voting this year is so important.
I would predict that if everybody who's been adversely affected by Rick Scott, everybody who's been adversely affected by the Republican-dominated U.S. House of Representatives, everybody who's been adversely affected by the Republican cabinet in the state of Florida, if all students who had Pell Grants cut, if all welfare recipients who had to be drug tested before they could get benefits, if all of these people turn out and vote in their own best interest, the Democrats and President Obama will prevail.
On April 4th, 2011, supporters across the country came together to launch President Obama's re-election campaign in all 50 states. Since then, more than 1.8 million people have donated to support the Obama 2012 movement. Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. With Mitt Romney as the leading GOP nominee in the race for the White House, Republican grassroots supporters are pulling their efforts together to support their final presidential candidate. Time will reveal the results of who ran the best campaign. Whether their candidate wins or loses, volunteers can find comfort in knowing they stood up for what they believe in.
In 2012, we're going to need some good foot soldiers and make sure that we get the right people elected, because right now our life depends upon it.